So now we're going to try keying out a flower using Newcomb's Wildflower Guide. So this is a flower we just got from the garden near EV1, and we're going to start off by looking at the flower type using this key. So the purpose of using this key is to generate a 3-digit code using the numbers along the side here by matching up different characteristics with this flower. So first off, again, you want to look at whether the flower is irregular, regular, or has parts indistinguishable. So if you look at this flower, you can clearly see that it has distinguishable parts, and you can also see that it's regular. Regular flowers are what's known as radially symmetrical, which means that no matter way you divide the flower, it's always symmetrical. So now that we know that, we have to determine how many parts it has. So looking at the flower, you can see it has 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 parts. So that means 5 regular parts, which gives us the first part of our code, the number 5. Then you want to look at the plant type. So this is a wildflower, it's not a shrub or a vine. So then we look at the leaves here to determine the leaf arrangement. So the plant does have apparent leaves, which you can see, so we don't count that one. The plant doesn't have only basal leaves, so the leaves do grow all the way up the stem. You can see them here and at the top as well. So then we want to determine if the leaves are alternate or if they're opposite or whorled. So alternate leaves you would see growing at different intervals up the stem, but opposite leaves always come out at the same point, which is what we see here. So this is indeed opposite. So now we have the second number of our code, 4. And now that we know the leaf arrangement, we want to look at the leaf type. So again, we said there are leaves, so we don't count no apparent leaves. Then we want to determine if the leaves are entire, toothed, lobed, or divided. If you look at this, especially the larger leaf down here, you can see the margins are perfectly smooth. So these are entire leaves. So now we have the last digit of our code, the number 2. Once you have your code, you will flip to the locator guide. So here on the locator key, there's all these different codes along the side which match up with the 3 number codes that you generate in the previous section. So what you do is once you have your code, you keep flipping through the key until you find the code that matches yours. So here's ours, 542. So now what you want to do is look at all the characteristics to the right of your code. Each of the characteristics are in groups defined by how far they're indented. So right now the first characteristic here, which is the furthest out, are petals or petal-like parts are grown together to form a tube, bell, or cup. Looking at our petals, you can see they're all distinctly separate, so they do not form a tube, bell, or cup. So the other characteristic paired with this one isn't on this page, so we'll flip it, and you'll see that it gives us another characteristic. So this says petals separate, sepals united into a tube, cup, or bladder from which the petals emerge. So the sepals, if you peel back some of the leaves here, you'll see the sepals are in fact united into a tube around the bottom of the petals. So now that we've determined that characteristic, we're left with 2 more to choose from: plants of dry habitats and plants of swamps and wet meadows. So this plant was found on campus, which is a dry habitat. So then we're given page number, page 258. So once you reach your page number, you'll see various illustrations of different plants. Sometimes they're in color, or sometimes they're black and white line art like this page. However, the color will always be in brackets underneath the name of the plants. So what you do is you'll take your plant and look at all the different plants on this page to try and determine which one matches it best. Judging by the pictures, it looks like the plant we have here is Deptford Pink, since it matches many of the characteristics. If you're not quite certain just by looking at the picture, if you look at the left page, you'll also see that it lists characteristics of every plant in more detail. So looking at Deptford Pink, you can see it has deep pink flowers dotted with white, which these flowers do, although they're very small, so they probably won't show up on the camera. The flowers are a 1/2 inch wide, leaves 1 to 2 inches long, which you can see especially with this leaf. They're found on fields and roadsides, and you can find them in summer and fall. So all of these characteristics, you want to do your best to match up to the plant you found to then better determine whether this is in fact the plant you're looking at. So especially with how closely this picture matches, we can say with confidence this is the Deptford pink. And that's how you ID a plant.